Oil pipelines have been a big part of the media over the last decade, but is all the criticism on their bad effects on the environment true? It is important to understand why pipelines are the safest and most reliable way of transporting oil across the United States. Oil pipelines are the best and least harmful way of transporting oil across the world. We have been studying this topic over the last few weeks, making us knowledgeable on the topic. Today, we will discuss why the United States uses pipelines, the potential drawbacks of using pipelines, and then disproving those drawbacks. So why does the United States use pipelines? Oil pipelines are the safest way of transporting large amounts of oil long distances. According to energyinfrastructure.org, the United States has over 300,000 miles of pipeline going all over the country, connecting crude oil pumps to oil and natural gas refineries. The pipeline industry makes up 100% of all natural gas transportation and up to 75% of oil transportation, according to Forbes.com. Oil pipelines are the most efficient way of transporting oil, compared to the other methods, that being rail, barge, and by truck. Pipelines emit around 68% less greenhouse gases than the leading transporting method, that being trains. Pipelines are the cheapest way of transporting large amounts of oil and gas long distances. The main cost of the oil of the pipeline is upfront. It takes a decent amount of money to create the pipeline and infrastructure, but the maintenance is not much compared to its counterparts. Transporting by truck is by far the most expensive and least efficient way of transporting oil. Trucks also emit greenhouse gases while transporting them, making it bad for the environment. The United States government seems to have a much different view on pipelines than the media. Let's hear about some of these issues.
Although there are many benefits of using pipelines, there are still many people that resist the construction and use of pipelines. The biggest and most important concern is the rights of the indigenous people. According to Greenpeace.org, proposed pipelines such as Keystone XL, Trans Mountain, and Bayou Bridge cross through indigenous territories, sometimes without consent. From the same source, these pipelines can threaten several water supplies and areas with cultural significance. Another thing they bring up is that pipelines are better for CEOs and large corporations, but not the average person. But the same can be said for renewable energy projects. According to Greenpeace.org, pipelines don't create long-term jobs after initial construction is finished. Another point contradicting pipelines is the possible explosions it could cause. According to Arnold and Itkin, 17.1% of significant pipeline incidents between 1986 and 2013 were due to equipment failure. When these failures happen, it causes leaks, and these leaks can cause explosions and fires. These fires create methane, which cause greenhouse gases, contributing to climate change. Although most of these claims seem like a big deal, most of them are false or greatly exaggerated. The reasons these organizations are giving seem reasonable, but we are going to show why some of these are not valid arguments. Pipelines are not directly bad for the environment. The only times pipelines actively pollute the environment are when they are leaking, which isn't very often. Trucks, trains, and barges all actively put emissions into the environment every time they transport oil, but pipelines are always active and don't produce emissions. There's no way to safely move a large amount of oil other than using pipelines that cross America. These organizations say that the pipeline industry cannot sustain jobs after construction is finished, but the same can be said for construction of renewable energy resources. According to Pipeline 101, between 2013 and 2016, the pipeline industry created nearly 1.2 million indirect and induced jobs. Included is 400,000 direct jobs. There are many jobs in the pipeline industry involving maintenance. Explosions can be easily avoided with well-maintained pipelines. According to the Texas explosion lawyer, there was 24 pipelines explosions in the US in 2020. While this figure isn't what we want it to be, it isn't as high as some organizations are making it sound. While explosions are going to happen, with proper maintenance and management, pipeline explosions can be nearly eliminated.
First, we talked about why the United States uses pipelines. Second, we discussed the potential drawbacks of them. And third, we disproved those drawbacks. Oil pipelines are and have been the safest and most reliable way of transporting large amounts of oil across the United States. From now on, I hope you can at least consider that oil pipelines are better for the environment than other forms of oil transportation. Thank you.